All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of Beyond the Mic with Big Country. My name is William Latch, and with me today, or tonight, I have a special guest, a special friend, Morgan Lambert. Just wanted to bring her on here. We've been friends for a couple years now. She obviously had a little brother who played for my dad at Spain Park, so I've gotten to know the Lamberts really well. And she's Aunt Lambo to my two babies. So, really, really special friend. Very blessed to have her in our lives, and just wanted to bring her on here and talk about her story a little bit, as I've done a few times. And so let's start off with your family. Let's talk about your family a little bit. Obviously, I mentioned Jr. So who else do we got?
Yes. So my family tree, I've got my mom, who is just the greatest woman on the planet. She's crazy like I am, and probably the reason I'm so crazy. I've got my little brother, James Robert, or as everybody else knows him, JR, played basketball for Coach Latch at Spain Park. And again, that's how we all met and became friends. And then I've got my older sister, Carrie. She is 7 years older than me, lives in Orlando. But me, my brother, and my sister are truly just the three best friends that anyone could ever have. Between them two, there's a 11-year difference. But I'm the middle of three, and I have just got the best family around me and the greatest people I've ever known.
Yeah. So you actually went to Spain Park, graduated from Spain Park High School in
2017.
2017. So
That
2
10-year
years.
reunion's coming up.
Yeah, I had mine last year. I didn't go, but yeah, that hits you in a different way when that thing actually pops
Yeah.
up. And people you hadn't talked to in like 10 years are like, yo, dude, what's up? You want to hang out? And I'm like, sure, if I can make it work.
Sure.
So, um, no, so you went to Spain Park, you cheered at Spain Park, actually went on to cheer at Mississippi State, which is really cool. Talk about that experience a little bit.
So, my cheer story is basically my life story. I started cheering when I was 3 years old, and the gym that I went to, it's called Ace Cheer Company, still existing and running in Birmingham. At the time, they did not have a team for me. I was too young. You had to be 4 years old. So, that first year, while my sister was doing cheer, I just tumbled in the gym, was doing gymnastics, and the next year I joined a team, and it all kind of started from there. I cheered competitively my entire life up until 15 years old at Ace. I also did Barry cheerleading. Again, I'm a Hoover City Schools product, so I went from Greystone to Barry and then up to Spain Park. I cheered at Spain Park for 4 years, and then towards the end of my senior year, tried out for Mississippi State, which is where my dad went to school, played football. It's always been a very special place for my family, and tried out for school cheer at Mississippi State, made it, cheered all 4 years, served as captain my senior year, and moved out of the actual cheerleading space where my body was very thankful that I finally hung up my shoes and stopped doing the cheerleading. But yeah, it was a long about 20 years of doing that sport. And again, continuing in my entire career now revolves around cheerleading too.
Yeah, that's really cool. Obviously my family's been around basketball forever, and it's unique to hear. I say unique. It's a lot of people have different avenues that they're with their whole life. And definitely growing up in a cheer arena, cheer, around cheer, is something that we're familiar with. My sister Catherine, actually cheered at Sanford for
Mm-hmm.
a year or two, so we're definitely familiar with it. We joked that she was the only one that didn't want to play basketball, so she decided to cheer.
Had to be different.
Yeah, so but yeah, that's really cool. Obviously to cheer at the next level, but do it at a prestigious place like Mississippi State and SEC, and how cool that must have been. But talk about a little bit how that has shaped your career now into where you've been coaching for a little while, and what kind of made you want to get back into it in the coaching side.
There's about a million different answers to this question, but cheerleading has always been a part of me, and it's something I used to joke around as a kid, and I still kind of believe as a 26-year-old is cheerleading's really the only thing I've ever been good at. Cheerleading is my first love. It is what has shaped me into the person I am today, and knowing that there was a part of me who has always loved to teach and coach and mentor, it kind of seemed obvious for me that that was going to be the next step of my life. Throughout college, I also worked for a company called UCA. It is one of the biggest names in the cheerleading industry. I worked as an instructor and then head instructor running camps. And I went from mentoring cheerleaders at these camps to actually running the staff and teaching, instructors how to be great instructors and running really high level camps. And that experience during college very much kind of shaped me into realizing I wanted to take coaching and teaching to the next level, and do that as my career. I actually didn't even declare education as my major until my junior year of college. And I did an entire teacher's degree basically in 2 years. And the stars aligned when I got out of college. I didn't think, because I graduated at the end of the summer, I didn't think I was going to be able to take a teaching job because I wasn't going to be out of school in time, but God has a plan. A door opened right where I went to high school, and the rest is history. And
Yeah.
it's been 5 years since.
Yeah, no doubt. It's really cool that sometimes in our lives, even with the things that I do, I've told a couple people on here, that I never thought that I would even want to sit in front of a microphone, let alone announce in front of NBA crowds and college football crowds. And it's just amazing how sometimes God's going to direct you in a path that you never even thought would be possible. And that probably wasn't even on your radar, especially to teach, but probably to coach, and talk about a little bit. So you took your first teaching job at Spain Park so you could coach, and then you coached with Coach
So,
Haller, right?
yes,
Yep.
I coached with my former high school coach, Ashley Halla, who has been like a second mother to me since I met her in the ninth grade. She was my varsity coach. She's the reason Spain Park started competing when I was in high school, and she kind of built that foundation of this is something that we're going to do. And a lot of schools in Birmingham had been competing since, the 80s, 90s, and Spain Park didn't even open until 2001. So, in a lot of ways, it felt like we were behind the curve, but we would not be where we are right now. And the program would not look like it looks like right now if we hadn't taken that first step. 2014 was the first competitive year
Wow.
at Spain Park High School. So I got to compete as a sophomore, junior, and senior at the National High School Cheerleading Championship. And then, almost 10 years later, or oh my gosh, it's been more than 10 years. That's awful. It's been a while, but we've now achieved this past season, our highest rankings ever at the national championship, taking our JV team to the national championship, them doing great things. So it's really crazy that it's come this far in such a short amount of time, or it feels short to me. But yes, I started coaching with Ashley Halla, and we did it together for 2 years. And then after that second year, I got to take the helm.
Yeah. Talk about, was there any like sort of pressure you felt taking over for her, or cheering in
Um,
your alma mater, like cheering at your or coaching at your alma mater, and like that was your program, and now you're leading it? Talk about that a little bit.
yeah, there was a little bit of pressure, not necessarily, and certainly not from Halla's end. She has done everything. Like when I was her cheerleader when I was in college, and coaching with her and now coaching without her, she has done everything to support me at every single level. She knew, and it was her belief in me. She was like, "You don't need me. Like this is yours now, and I don't question one bit what you're going to do with it. I know that you've got the capability to do it." And I even told, a lot of people when that time came around, I was 23 years old when I took over the program, and people were like, "Are you nervous? Are you scared?" And I was like, truthfully, no, because there's a certain calmness you have when you feel like God has led your steps to where you are at. And that's kind of how I felt by, being really young. And I mean, looking at, my colleagues who have been doing, coaching for 10, 20, even 30 years. And I was, very much on the younger end of that. There was just a calmness I felt with taking over the program, feeling like at that moment that was exactly what I was supposed to be doing. I was called for it. I was made for it. And that really, really eased the nerves and allowed me to not be worried about, the outside perception or anything. It was just do your job, do what you know how to do, and build this program.
Yeah. Well, you hit on a little bit. I want you to talk about it a little bit. We actually went with them this year to the national championships and in Orlando, and man, it was a long 3 days for me.
Uh huh.
But
Me too.
I know I had two kids, but I mean, I can't even imagine just trying to compete and win every day. That way, you can survive and advance to the next round. And one of the unique things you hit on too is this the first year that Spain Park's taking their JV team, and how awesome that was. And I actually got to speak to the girls. Morgan, we talked about it a little bit. So I spoke to the varsity team and then JV team, and it was pretty cool to talk to JV and just go, no matter what you do, history is going to be made.
Right.
It's the first time ever, and you could see that they were super excited about the opportunity, and hit on that. And that was my first time down there, and one, it was a ton of people. Two, just like how amazing is that? Because when I was at Broadwood, I don't think our cheer teams competed like that. When we got to Spain Park, or my dad did, that was the first time I kind of noticed that cheer teams actually did stuff like that. Kind of hit on that a little bit. Participating that as an athlete, but then also as a coach, like how crazy was that? Kind of like a full circle moment, maybe.
Yeah. Like I said, I competed my entire life, and I have told as many people that will listen, I would rather, like, people are like, oh, there's no way anything is scarier than competing as an athlete. Wrong. Coaching is so much worse. And it's like you have zero control over what goes on. Like, once you leave them to go onto the floor and you go and sit and wait on them to get out there, and they're out there doing what they know how to do, you have no control over what happens from there. It's not like, basketball where you see a play going wrong and you're like, time out, let's regroup. Like, once that music starts, there's no regroup.
Right.
Once it goes, that train has left the station. But coaching at the national championship is really an honor. It's awesome that in the last few years, I feel like we have made a name for Spain Park. We are a team that, especially in our game day division, people know of. People come to watch us. People watch our routines before we get there. And I like performing to that standard, knowing that this isn't just about, the people who are here to watch you, like your parents, your family, your friends. This is about, a bigger name. You know that people are here to watch you. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in. We know in that game day division that we are a team to watch. And we also know in the traditional division, we have had ups and downs. And this year was, best traditional routine we've taken to nationals. And that first day, hitting a zero deduction routine. I mean, there is no roller coaster like coaching cheerleading, but the high of that part of the roller coaster that weekend was just absolutely incredible. And it's moments like that that make you realize, all the work was worth it. And even as an athlete, going back to competing, like, you're going to have your up times, you're going to have your down times, but getting those moments on the national stage, it's not something that every cheer team in the world gets to do. It's a very big privilege to not only be able to go to the national championship, but to qualify to get there. It's not a, free for all. You have to qualify to get there. And it's something that we take very, very seriously. I tell the girls all the time before we go, this is an honor. It's a privilege to get to be here, to wear the Spain Park logo on your chest and get to go out and have people watching you and perform at the highest level that you can get at the high school cheerleading level. I was redundant, but to be on the biggest stage offered in our sport at the high school level, it's really incredible.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember standing there when you told the girls that they got zero deductions, and like everybody was cheering and crying, and I was like, "Did we win the whole thing?" And Rachel's like, "No, we advanced." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, but she was just talking about how big of a deal it is to even advance to the next day, and I remember seeing the joy on their faces, and I tell people all the time when we talk about Spain Park athletics, I talk about how I think our cheer program is probably one of the hardest working programs that we have there. They're there probably more than most of our sports. I think Lambert invented a 6 a day, probably. But the girls I've seen put in the time. They're always there working. You guys are always there working and trying to be better. And then to watch it actually play out in Orlando was pretty cool to see. Something I've never experienced. So that was a unique thing to watch. But
you get a full experience at a nationals because as much as you can control, there are so many uncontrollables.
Right.
One thing I did not think we would be dealing with was 30-degree weather that weekend, and again, that's just a weird environmental challenge. We weren't able to practice outside in between rounds as much. We did before we went and competed in the final round in y'all's suite. We had the girls in there trying to rework a part of the routine, and it was really just to make it work. But to touch on probably the most special thing about not even just nationals, but competing at the high school level, it's not like football where you watch somebody score a touchdown and 6 points go on the board. It's not like basketball where someone makes a free throw and you get a point. It is a judged sport, like figure skating, gymnastics, and there is a lot of subjectivity that comes with that, and there is a lot of just things that you cannot control. And we kind of saw this on both ends this past weekend, and we see it in a way every single time we compete. But, our game day routine made it to the finals. We ended up in 4th place in a very competitive division, like an incredible achievement. On the flip side of that, we did a perfect traditional routine in in prelims, moved to the semifinals in 2nd place in the whole division. And what you can't control, we did not execute as well as we did the first day in the semifinal. And you can't control what other teams are going to do. And we unfortunately ended up on a day that we messed up and everybody else hit their stride. And we didn't advance out of the semifinal round for the traditional routine, which was devastating. And one thing I told the girls during that point, I was like, you're allowed to be sad. Like, I'm not expecting you to not be sad over this. I'm devastated. And it's, we know how hard we worked for it. And sometimes the cards just don't fall in your favor and it wasn't our day. But there's so much to learn from that life lessons wise. I mean, I have learned more life lessons from cheerleading than any other part of my life. And that's something that these girls took out of that weekend. We had traditional semifinals in the morning, took a hit, didn't advance, and we had just a few hours to collect ourselves, get our minds back in the game, and get ready to go do game day semifinals in a division that we were also in second place of. And it takes a lot for high school girls to be able to put sadness aside, refocus on the mission at hand, and be able to execute. And they did. And I think that's a lesson that serves them well beyond cheerleading.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, when they're in college, when they're adults, you're going to get knocked down. Things are not going to go your way. Maybe there's a dream job you really, really wanted, and you get to the second round of the interview, and then you get denied. And you thought you knew you could have done better, but you've got to pick yourself up and go to the next interview. And it's a silly example, but there is so much to learn out of the really hard moments and the disappointments that we face. And I think we got a really good hand of both of those moments at nationals this year. We had the highest of highs, and that moment was probably the lowest of lows. But to see them fight back from it, come back, and end up bringing home the highest placement we've ever had at nationals was truly, truly special.
Yeah, no doubt. We talked about me getting to see the highest of highs that we talked about. Obviously hitting zeros, the first routine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about it, so I'm trying to be
No, you got
careful
it.
here.
You,
Okay.
you saw enough.
So the first routine, and then everybody was celebrating, and then you also see the reaction when they figure out they're not making it, and like you said, the unique thing about that is you have two divisions, okay, and then so like your one routine's done, so you got to like literally flush it and move on to the next and make sure you perform the best you can for the next one. Like, just incredible. And you mentioned the weather.
Yeah.
I think that was the coldest it's been in Orlando in like 40-something years.
It had to have been. That was the most bizarre weather, and it cracks me up. My sister lives in Orlando, and she had texted me the week before we were coming, and she was like, well, you're just bringing the cold weather with you. Y'all just need to come later. Da-da-da-da. And I was like, but it's true. I mean, we had the polar vortex up here, and we were like, oh, cannot wait to go to sunny Florida, and frigid.
Freezing.
It was absolutely frigid.
I think there was a lot of people that didn't get the memo that it was going to be cold.
Yeah.
There was so many people in shorts and like flip-flops, and I was like, man, that's brutal.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, we were very fortunate to tag along with them this year and had a really fun time and enjoyed it and getting to hang out with all the girls and the coaches and watch that whole thing. It made sense to me. It all clicked being down there watching, seeing how much y'all prep and how much y'all practice and then it all coming out into play was something really special, something I'll never forget. Gave me a little bit more respect for cheerleading. So
it's really awesome too. Like, you're not the only one, and I'll talk about my brother who grew up as a cheer brother. Like, you ask him about any birthday he had from age 2 to 12, it was at a cheer competition because his birthday's on President's Day weekend, and we were always in Atlanta. That kid didn't have a birthday party until he was like 13. But my brother's the same way, and it's really cool because my brother is just you know him. He's straight up athlete. Like, that child has never been bad at anything in his life. He even cheered in his time, and I'll let you pull him on a podcast and have him tell you about that. But it was at the will of my mother, and he was 5. But even him, like, it's really cool because, again, he was a basketball player. He did baseball, football. But because he was exposed to cheerleading and everything that it took and all the things that go into it, like, my brother was at nationals this year, and it was really cool to see him and my sister both, celebrating what we had done, knowing the extent of what we had done, and just being aware of my world. It's a very hard world to be around, especially if you're not a part of it yourself. And I say the same thing about, like, my best friend. My best friend was not a cheerleader, and we've been friends since the 6th grade, still best friends to this day. She's, in medical school about to be a MD, and was texting me nationals weekend, and she was like, did we hit? Like, did we hit in semifinals? How's game day doing? Like, she has no clue, or shouldn't have any clue about what's going on. But it's really cool to get to bring people into my world. And I think it gives people a glimpse of why we've practiced so hard, why I'm so crazy, why I basically lived at the school during the season, because so much work does go into it. And it's really, really cool and special to get to bring the people in your life along. So I'm very glad y'all came on the trip, and your babies got to experience cheerleading. And if they can sleep in those arenas, they can sleep anywhere, because is it not the loudest place you've ever been?
Yeah, it was really loud, and there was a ton of people, and Beckett actually fell asleep at one point, kind of like in the walkway, and because it was just crazy crowded, and it was the only place we could sit. So, yeah, no, they had a great time. I enjoyed it, watching, just seeing y'all's routine, and then kind of watching other people do things and seeing what's similar, what's not. I don't really know that much about it, but it was just eye-opening, honestly, to see another sport and the competitive level at a high level, obviously national championship. So it was a good time. And then we enjoyed Disney World.
Oh, yeah,
Monday.
we had
That
the
was
best
fun.
park day, even though it was still freezing.
It was cold. Yep. So, um, let's talk a little bit more about your family. I know, obviously, you and Rachel, kind of the way y'all connected was your father passed away
Mhm.
when James Robert was in high school, and um, I know her dad died at a young age too. So, talk a little bit about how that. I don't know what just happened there, but talk a little bit about how that shaped your life um, in that time, and how I know y'all were both young, and kind of how it's you know encouraged you, built you in your current life now.
Losing my dad was 100% one of the most formative, moments of my life. I was 20 years old when I lost my dad. I was a junior in college. And I remember it was, right when we were going back to school, and I'm cheering at state at this point. Football season's about to be in full swing. And, you know, things happened very quickly, and he had passed. And so many of the things that were instilled in me as a child, I think, were reinforced during that time. If you knew us during that time, he passed on a Saturday. That Monday was Labor Day, and me and my brother and my sister were, I was back at state, James Robert was back at Spain Park, and my sister was back at work on Tuesday. And that is just who my dad raised us to be. His biggest thing was, people are depending on you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it doesn't matter what's going on in your world. You've got to show up for other people and do your job. He was really big on doing your job. And so we did. And there was a lot that I learned through that. I learned that I operate when things feel normal to me, and being surrounded by people who love me. And we were very, very blessed with the village that we had during that time. And specifically, talking about, the Spain Park community, it killed me that me and my siblings, like I said earlier, we were, the three best friends. I was in Mississippi, Carrie was in Georgia, and my brother was in Birmingham. And, we didn't have each other during that time. And I was very much surrounded by great teammates and my sorority sisters, and my sister, very surrounded by her community. But I fully credit, the Spain Park community for lifting my family up during that time. I'll never forget the day of my dad's funeral. I If you didn't know, you would have thought they canceled school at Spain Park that day. I mean, any teacher who had taught me, my sister, or my brother, all of James Roberts' classmates, admin, coaches, everyone was there to show their support for my family. And I've said it too, that I think your dad truly saved James Roberts' life and lifted him up and built him up during a time where it really felt like the world was falling around us. And that was kind of my first experiences with your dad as well, was when I was in town watching basketball games. I tried to come home more
Mm-hmm.
during that year and the year after. And, some of the things that your dad told me and instilled in me during that time when he didn't even know me. We weren't colleagues yet. I was
Yeah.
just James Roberts' older sister that was in college. It really showed us the quality of people that we have in our lives, and um, just how much people really do care, and how lucky we are to be in the community that we're in. But I carry my dad with me every single day. Yesterday was actually his birthday, and just thinking about the memories that we have, he raised me to be tough, and to work your hardest at stuff, and don't let people, you know, a no is a, I'm gonna rephrase that. When you're told no, that shouldn't be your stopping point. That should be your let's figure out another way to get something done. And rejection is redirection, all of those things. He really, really instilled in me what it means to have a drive and hard work. And he was truly the reason I kept cheering after that. I was a junior, and if you've ever met me before, a part of my story is that I have had severe back issues.
Yep.
I had back surgery when I was 23 years old, and that is, quite the thing. But all of those issues started my junior year of college. They got really severe, and I was at the point, my dad had passed, back was shot, could barely walk, and I was like, I need to hang it up and be done. And it was because of my dad, and knowing, you don't give up. You're not done yet. Like, you've still got a year and a half left to cheer, to make the most of this opportunity you've been given. You worked your entire life for this. It was a lot of that that really kept my drive going. And I always had cheered for my dad and my mom. I mean, the amount of sacrifices they made, physically, mentally, financially, for
Yeah.
me to be a cheerleader my entire life. It's not the cheapest sport on the planet, and there's a ton that goes into it at every level. But to be that close to the end of my career, it was really like my dad's spirit that kept me through. And it was even more special cheering at Mississippi State, where he played football, being on the same field.
Yeah.
And there were so many special memories. And I thank the Lord every day that I did continue to cheer and get to experience that for as long as I could.
Yeah. No, I definitely remember when all that happened. Obviously James Robert was playing for Dad, and I've talked to your parents, before then, and it's kind of all just like you said, it just happened really fast. But it was really cool to just kind of see everybody rally together and try to make the best of a unfortunate situation. And unfortunately, that's life. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, but like you
Right.
said, man, you keep fighting, you find another way. And that was definitely a tough time, but I know it helped shape you and kind of where you're at now. And um, I kind of want to redirect here back to cheerleading.
Hmm.
You know, you said you worked for UCA for a while, and basically taught a bunch of high school, middle school girls for a while. But if you haven't heard already, Morgan's actually resigned as the cheer coach at Spain Park, and she is taking a new avenue. And I want to go down that one because I think it's really cool. I know you got to do some stuff this past summer with the company that you're going to work for, and um, if you know Morgan, like when she told us that she was leaving and what she was going to do, it made sense. It wasn't like, what are you doing? It was like, oh, that's perfect for Morgan. Hit on that a little bit.
So, I mean, the last few weeks of, this being a public reality now it's been a whirlwind. I have never experienced such gratitude, excitement, but also just sheer devastation at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really crazy, but it's another one of those moments that just like, when the doors opened and I got the job at Spain Park, and when I took over the cheer program, or how it just felt calming because it felt like God had steered my steps. That's where I'm at with this too. And that's made the hardest decision of my life be one that I'm confident in, because I know that God is behind it and God is the reason that I have the opportunity.
Hmm.
And like you said, I have done this over the past school year. People kept asking me, "Are you ever not at the airport? Why are you going every weekend?" And between the months of June through October, basically every weekend, I was gone doing choreography for schools across the country. I've done Spain Park's choreography for our game day for the last 5 years, and doing that choreography for Spain Park kind of made me find my love for it. And I was offered the opportunity to take that avenue more full time and get to travel and work with different teams across the country and just use my creative mind in as many ways as I can. Traveling throughout June through October, most people would think you've got to be exhausted. Like, there's no way that that's sustainable. And while probably long term doing that is not sustainable, with a full time job and coaching and everything else, during that period, I was so happy. Like,
Yeah.
I came back to work every Monday with a full cup, even though I had gotten back home at maybe 12:30 in the morning, flying home from working with a team on that Sunday, and it truly felt like joy like I haven't experienced before. And it just felt right. And getting that opportunity to go full time with this, God opens doors for a reason, and I'm sitting in a position in my life where it may be 4 years if this came down the line again. Like, I'll be 30 in 4 years, which is terrifying. It's less than that because I'm about to turn 27. But my life may not look like it does right now. I
Hmm.
may not be able to leave and do this. So it's something that I prayed about, cried about, had a lot of really intentional conversations with God and my family about. But it's something I'm incredibly excited for. I'm thankful that the Lord steered me in this direction, but it really is the hardest decision I've ever had to make.
Yeah. And like you said, I think it makes it so hard because of the people and the
Mm-hmm.
people at Spain Park, the girls that you have in your program, and the coaches you work with, and your PA guy for Friday nights.
Yes, of course.
And you talk about how sometimes, like we hit on earlier, doors open, God opens doors, and like we
Mm-hmm.
said, sometimes you may never even be looking for it.
Right.
I had the Birmingham Stallions reach out 2 weeks ago, just out of the blue. Hadn't heard from them. Wasn't really expecting to. I filled in for the guy last year, one game, but obviously the squadron are leaving, so I was kind of looking for something else, and really just kind of just gave it over to God, and I was like, you know what, if that's the door you want to open, then you're gonna have to open it, because I'm not out looking for jobs. I'm not gonna go behind somebody's back who already has a job and try to get it.
Right.
And honestly, they emailed me out of the blue and was like, "Hey, we want you all season." And I was like, "Okay, tell me where to sign up." So it's amazing how God shapes your life, and I firmly believe in there's seasons in life.
Mhm.
There's seasons that you have these friends in your life, or this job in your life, or anything really. Um, and it's kind of crazy just to see God open doors. And like you said, you did it some this past summer, and
Mhm.
we definitely could see the joy on your face, and I know you're really excited about it. But like my dad left Spain Park to go to Orange Beach. That wasn't something he was looking for. He thought he would retire at Spain Park. He loved the people, loved the administration, and God opened a door, and he felt like he needed to do it for his family and had a peace about it.
Right.
Um, you know, and I love what you said about you know it doesn't make the decision easier, but you're confident in your decision because of that.
Right.
And God gives you a sense of peace that makes you confident in the decisions that you're making. And, on paper, does it look great? I don't know. You know, why would my dad leave a job that he's comfortable at, has built a powerhouse program kind of like you have? And, it's just, it sometimes it doesn't make sense, but to God, it makes sense.
Right.
It doesn't have to us. We just have to have the faith to step out and trust him and trust his plan. So, we're really excited about that new opportunity for you. Like I said, I know you love it, and um, you get to travel the world for free, basically.
Yeah, work travel is certainly fun.
Yeah.
And
So.
like I said, incredibly tough decision. I think having to tell my program is top 3 hardest things I've ever had to do. And it's probably not 3. I mean, it's up there. It was heart-wrenching, but I think it shows um the character of the girls that I've gotten to coach, that in the midst of a very difficult conversation that we are all crying, these 14 to 18-year-old girls were able to look at me and say, like, we are so happy for you. We love you so much. We're so
Yeah.
proud of you. And um, again, that means the world to me more than anything. And the Spain Park cheer parents, the community of parents that have rallied around me for the last 5 years, who have said the same things. As of course it's tough, change is difficult, but for them, I mean, these are incredible, incredible moms and dads who, I mean, I think we struck gold at Spain Park with the amount of amazing parents we have surrounding our program. For all of them to be able to look at me and say, like, we are so happy for you, we're sad for us, but like, go out, do it, live your life. You may not get this chance again. It's, obviously God has made me very confident in my decision, but when the people you love most, when in this world there's not many people I love more than those cheerleaders and their families,
Mm-hmm.
for them to also kind of give you that stamp of approval and be like, we understand and we love you, go do it,
Yeah.
go chase a dream. It's really special. And the Spain Park community is something that is incredibly hard to leave. And deep down, Spain Park is always home. Like, it's where I went to school.
Yeah.
I say all the time, Spain Park raised me twice. From 14 to 18 years old, it built me into a, bringing my hand out from under the blanket for this one, adult that I fully thought I was going to college. And from ages 22 to almost 27, it has made me a real adult.
Yeah.
Taught me what it means to have a job and be responsible for all of these things. I never in a million years thought I would be responsible for the amount of things I'm responsible for in my roles at Spain Park. And it has pushed me as an educator. It's pushed me as a coach in all the best ways. I've had the greatest mentors in my life. It's really cool to go full circle, not just with the cheer program, but to teach alongside some of my favorite teachers I
Yeah.
ever had and learn from them in a different way. It has been the most incredible 5 years, and again, makes it really hard to say goodbye, but in so many ways I have Spain Park to thank for building my confidence to this point that you know I can do hard things. I think I talked to Rachel about this a lot in the moment, and if you knew me during this time, going into my 3rd year teaching, I was told I had to teach an AP macroeconomics class. And if you have ever met me, I'm awful at math. I'm so bad at math. Everyone in that building except for Coach Bev, who was my junior year math teacher, who I somehow made an A in his class because I think he may just be the best math teacher in the world, considering I made an A. But I'm really bad at math, and that was a huge insecurity of mine. And I was told I had to teach this class that had to do with math, and kind of scary. I taught the general course of economics, and they were like, nope, you're capable and you're going to do it. We're going to support you. We're going to be here for you every step of the way. And I know this is hard, but you're going to do it. And at that moment, I wanted to run away and hide. And I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do this. And 3 years later to now, like, AP Macro is my favorite thing I've ever done, favorite class I've ever taught. I've had so much fun. The students I've had, I would have never crossed paths with them had I not taught the class.
Yeah.
And again, testament to God's plan. Something that I thought was going to ruin me um, became one of my favorite parts about my job. And again, a testament to Spain Park and the way it is a place that if they believe in you, they're going to put you in positions to grow, and you're going to grow and you're going to be supported. And that's how I felt as an educator, as a coach, and just as a human being in that school for not just 5 years as a teacher, but 4 years as a student too.
Yeah. You know, like I mentioned, Spain Park, like you said, I mean, it's a special place. You know, I know my dad misses it. Just the people that, you know, the admin he worked for, the people, and not saying there's not great people in Orange Beach, because there's a lot of great people, but you know, it's a unique place. It's a special place. So what would you say are the biggest things you're going to miss?
Biggest things I'll miss about Spain Park.
Because you're staying in the cheer world.
Right. Yeah, I'm not leaving cheerleading, but the biggest things I will miss about Spain Park specifically, um, the people. I mean, these are people who, again, knew me as a teenager and have now helped mentor me as an adult. These are athletes that I have coached for 5 years, and I adore them, and their parents have lifted me up through some tough times and have always had my back and have always trusted me with this program. And I pray they still trust me and trust what I've built. That way on my way out, you know, they're confident in what's to come, because Spain Park Cheer's best days are still ahead of them. And I cannot wait to see what the program continues to accomplish. But, I mean, the people is an obvious one. Spain Park has always just felt like home. It's been a place where, again, I know every in and out of that building. It's a comfort place for me, because it's just somewhere that I know that when I walk in those doors, I'm going to be supported and lifted up. And just on the athletic side, there is just nothing like Friday nights at Spain Park. I know that sounds, you know, so cheesy, but I've gotten to be a part of some like really, really awesome and some really, really not awesome years of Spain Park football in my life. Mind you, my sister enrolled at Spain Park in 2006.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute that I've been around, and I cheered on the sidelines of a state championship game for Spain Park football. I've gotten to be on the sidelines as a coach during the undefeated run that we had last year, and I've been on the sideline for 2-8 season and just about everything in between. And the way that the coaches pour into all of the athletics at Spain Park, like I've learned a ton from just watching Coach V, you know, coach with passion, and the way that he has turned a program into a powerhouse. I've watched and learned so much from your dad when he was at Spain Park. On our way out the door, a lot of times if I was leaving late enough and he was leaving from basketball, you know, we'd sit and talk about what was going on, and he talked me through some really tough times with my program and decisions I needed to make and things I felt uneasy about. I've learned a lot from Coach Black, the current basketball coach at Spain Park. He is just a phenomenal human being, and he lifts up my girls as much as we hope to be lifting up his team, cheering for them. Again, it's just the athletic department at Spain Park is truly an awesome place. And Josh Donaldson, our athletic director, again, I truly laugh at how much responsibility I am given sometimes, and because I know I'm capable of it, but it's just crazy thinking at my age, you know, some of the things that I do. But him having, you know, a wholehearted belief in me and always having my back and really helping me guide and steer our program in the right direction, especially over the last 3 years that he's been here, has been, you know, game changing. It's not often that you find an athletic director or even an athletic program that is as supportive of its cheerleaders as he is and as Spain Park is. To have our head football coach, head basketball coaches be cheer fans, you know, and be a fan of me and my program and what our girls do, it truly means the world. And again, it's not common you find things like that. So
No doubt.
I'll miss the people. I'll miss the athletics. I'll miss the bells that sound like a ringtone for whatever reason. Like, there's so many things that I'm going to miss about Spain Park.
That's good. You know, it's going to be different next year, not seeing you down on the sideline for Fridays and texting you something, or you texting me, or
play ice cream and cake.
Yeah. But really happy for
too.
you. Yeah, really happy for you. Really excited to see kind of where God takes you in this next season of life, and it's going to be something special. So, fun fact about Josh Donaldson. He's actually my spotter at UAB.
Really?
For UAB football. He's a heck of a spotter.
I did not know
He's
that.
a fantastic AD, but he's a heck of a spotter.
does not. He is probably the most detail-oriented person I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah.
So that does not shock me at all.
We'll have some plays and he'll like call out stuff, and like even on flags, like normally I just announce like who ran the ball, and then I'll be like flag on the play and wait for the ref to announce. And he's like, who ran the ball, who tackled, and probably what the coach is drinking on the sideline. Like he's very detail oriented. It's
Well, I'll tell you what, he's the same way with cheer. He's come with us to nationals the last 3 years, and he doesn't just support cheer. He knows cheer at this point, and I've done it. We've done it to him, and we've done it to Rachel. Rachel has actually had to fill in for me as the cheer coach for games a few times, just with conflict in scheduling. And Rachel's a pretty good cheer coach, and Sarah Lynch, our head athletic trainer, she knows the way. She's been to nationals 4 times now. But Donaldson specifically, I mean, we're sitting there at the competition, and he's like, all right, have we gotten score sheets? Like, what's our score? What's our raw score? How many deductions did we have? Like, did they say something about the flag timing? And I'm like, I haven't even got there yet. I'm in charge of all of this, and my brain isn't even thinking about all of that stuff yet. And again, it's funny that they don't only support, but they know what's going on. And
invested for sure.
Sarah, I have her clean when we're at nationals and we're like divide and conquering, trying to clean some parts of our routine. I'll send Sarah with a group and be like, all right, you clean them, make sure they look good. And she knows exactly what I'm asking her to do.
That's funny. Sarah's a good one. Well, thank you for getting on here with me. Obviously, this will not be the last time.
No, it will not.
A lot to track in the next coming years for you. So, enjoyed our time together as always. I think Rachel said dinner's ready, so we're gonna go chow down a little
Time
bit.
to go eat.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, and thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Beyond the Mic with Big Country. Thank you, Morgan Lambert. Love you, proud of you.
Love you.
And we'll catch you next time.